Andrew Weeb, founder of Spark Infinity niche-based Facebook group. David, what is going on in Spark Infinity?
Spark Infinity has been growing pretty rapidly since January. We started with literally 4 or 5 members, now to well over 1,400 people, serving creatives and creators, poets, artists, visual artists, musicians, actors, actresses.
What should members of Spark Infinity be prepared for? What are the live shows about?
We like to interview people and get a sense of who they are, the kind of things they do, highlight them, and especially their amazingness, their personality, their superpowers, whatever makes them great. That's what we like to highlight in those conversations.
So how could members of Spark Infinity also benefit from Bump Global?
For one thing, there are so many amazing heart-centered founders of various niche-based Facebook groups that if you wanted to be interviewed, you could just put yourself in the middle of the storm and find all kinds of groups to be featured in and interviewed in all day long. And the other thing is, if they have the desire and the work ethic to build their own niche-based Facebook group and blow it up, that's another opportunity that's waiting for them. And I only see things growing from there.
Spark Infinity, I hope you're having a great day. It's David here, and today I wanted to share on a topic that's top of mind for me because I've been working on my latest book, How to Set Up Your Music Career Like a Business. As the story goes, I was not planning to, not specifically expecting to begin work on another book. I published 4 last year. I published 2 this year. As far as I was concerned, I had fulfilled on some promises I had made, and anything else would have been going above and beyond. But this idea came along because this was an audio program that I launched in 2014, resonated with a lot of people, got some good attention, and here we are 11 years later. And I thought to myself, gee, this program's pretty good. I think I might want to turn it into a book and update it and expand it and give people new information that they can work with and act on. So the whole idea of the best information is available anywhere and anywhere, everywhere, for free is ludicrous. And I'm here to kind of dispel that myth and share why that's not the case. And there are a lot of reasons, perhaps more than you would think. I've noticed certainly the prevalence of this thought process among younger YouTubers. I'm not singling out Jim Y, although I know that's in the title. And it's also been accepted, and again, kind of much to my dismay, accepted by people who are also coaches or coaches, curators, or people in a similar position to I am, a founder or an influencer or a creator of some kind who has influence over a community or a group of people or an email list or blog subscription or whatever it might be. So I've started hearing this more and more. The information is out there. And the information is out there, but really the number one problem here is not all the information is available to everyone. Not everyone will receive the information in the specific way they will need to receive it to get the transformation. And the first places you go looking for the information frequently aren't the most valuable or useful. Places like Google, places like YouTube, places like Quora, all of your favorite websites, Reddit, places you're probably pretty familiar with, don't always have access to the best information or the information that's going to be of great value to you. And let's face it, it is hard. It is very difficult for a single human being to decode, decipher, make sense of all the information. And they will initially question and doubt some of the things they come across, which might prove to be true. And they might initially accept a lot of things initially that might prove to be false. But, let's get into those reasons, because even those aren't really, I guess they're part of the greater discussion, but that's really just a starting point. So the notion that you got access to everything you want on ChatGPT, Google, and YouTube, here's why that may not be the case. Number one, science is always changing, and it should be. So whoever is telling you that the science is settled is either trying to sell you a bill of goods or they are completely misled. Science is never settled. That's the point of science. Science is discovery. Once we discover something new about something, it is supposed to change. So the information that's out there might be the best, quote unquote, best available. For reasons, I think it's good to question everything. I think it's definitely good to question mainstream media in a variety of ways. I understand on a very, very general level and non-specific level, the information that you get from mainstream media is pretty good, but many times because their business, let's face it, their business is to get clicks. Their business is to get viewership. Their business. So as much as possible, it makes sense for them to be controversial, to be provocative, to make people turn and look and watch and pay attention and believe everything that's being said. And so in that context and in that kind of system where it's their job to get people's attention in that specific way, it's only natural that true information or good information isn't really the focus. And sometimes it actually makes better business sense for them to forego really good information in favor of more controversial stuff. Because controversy gets clicks, controversy gets viewership, and all that kind of stuff. So science is changing. And it's just weird for me to come across people who are saying it's true whether you accept it or not. Ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous, because at that point it's a religion. It's a cult, to be honest. At that point it's a cult. If someone tells you that you got to believe something, whether it's true or not, because it's true, first of all, it's some kind of weird mental gymnastic paradox that doesn't make any sense. But second of all, they're clearly trying to convince you of something. And they're trying to sell you a bill of goods, because that's not the way science is supposed to work. So we have science, again, controversial. People may not agree with me. But on the one hand, you've got science. On the other hand, like science, the practice of it. And on the other hand, you've got science, the religion, or science, the cult. That one doesn't help anybody, right? Science, the knowledge, it's a growing understanding of humanity, and just another way, because we try to understand humanity and the universe through spirituality. We try to understand it through science. We try to understand it through math and technology. We're all really kind of heading towards the same direction, but we're just trying to interpret the data in different ways through different lenses. That's all that is. So it would be weird, by extension, if science was changing, but spirituality was not. That is, science was changing, but math was not. See, they have to change. They have to grow based on our understanding. And our understanding of the universe and humans and where we are and what we're doing is limited. It is so limited. It's not even close, not even hitting anywhere close to what is out there. So let's start there, that the science is changing, and it should be, right? So best information relative to what we have right now, or available right now. Even then, it's not really easy to find, which brings me to my next point. Most people aren't willing to pay the price for personal development. I think people might assume or think that it would be really easy to get on the mic like I am, get on camera like I am, talk about topics like I am right now, and be able to speak about them intelligently. And that's just not true. And also without doing any kind of reading, broader exploration, listening to various audio programs and podcasts, watching various videos, taking courses online, virtually or in person, going to personal development conferences or events. If you're not actively and consistently and regularly doing all that kind of stuff, chances are you can't become someone like me, and you're just not cut out for it, or you're not willing to pay the price. And look, this pathway is not for everyone. It really isn't. But people mistakenly assume that it's easy, that there's no cost involved, that there's no work involved. While you're out partying, I'm probably reading a book, right? I'm reading this one. I've got a shelf full of books behind me, and that's not even all my books. I've got more books back in Alberta at my parents' house. So like I said, most people, like, they ask me for advice. They're not even willing to read a 5,000 word article. I can't even tell you how many 5,000 word articles I've read. That's how many I've read, because I've forgotten how many I've read and continue to read. So best information, you're not even willing to sift through a 5,000 word article. So how do you hope to find the best information without actually looking at the resources available to you? Number 3, the classics are much deeper than you even remember them being. I recently discovered this as I revisited Think and Grow Rich. What a fantastic book. But holy cow, stuff like psycho-cybernetics, how to win friends and influence people, and of course the magic of thinking big, which I just mentioned. The Bible is another example. If you haven't read them in a while, go back and have another look. You'll be stunned by how the information has changed. And it's not the information that's changed. It's you that changed. It's the circumstances of your life that changed. That's what's happening. That's why there's so much value in revisiting these books. But go back and you can listen to them if you got the audiobook, or read them yourself, and you're going to find that a book like Think and Grow Rich, yeah, it might be Napoleon Hill's information condensed down from what he originally intended to create, which was the Law of Success, which is also available as a book, but people don't know about that one as much. But even then, if you read Think and Grow Rich, it's like there's not a word in there, there's not a sentence in there that carries some deeper meaning. It is crazy. So in searching for the quote unquote the best free information available, are you going back and reading stuff like Think and Grow Rich? Because if you're not, you're just not getting it. Next, number 4, Google search results are dominated by mainstream conglomerates. Now, people don't see that as a problem. They don't think of it as a big deal. Last time I researched the topic, it was something like 70% of results. In other words, if you were getting the top 10 results from Google, 7 of them were dominated by mainstream media. The really weird part is they all seem to say the same thing and echo each other and almost use exactly the same sentences and paragraphs to describe things, which is antithetical to search engine optimization best practices. And so why are these pages ranking to begin with? Again, absolutely ludicrous that people don't think about it. I think that's the point, is if the mainstream, or if the results, the top results, are dominated by mainstream media and big conglomerates, and they're all basically saying the same thing, you give up after 3 articles. You're just like, oh, I guess it's true. Three articles, that's enough. It confirmed me. Those are major sources. Those are big sources, so they must be true. That's not critical thinking, right? But that's about as much as most people do, isn't it? Like, be honest. If you do more than that, awesome. But you're a rare individual. Most people don't. Well, I read the top 3 results, or I checked out the top 5 results, and I clicked on 3, and I just confirmed for myself that it was true. So I went on with my life. That's not research. That's not questioning everything. So that makes the best information, the information that has the power to transform your life, the information that has the chance to make a difference for your life in the areas that matter to you, relationships, wealth, health, in all these different categories. If you're only going surface deep, your results are also very likely to be surface deep. Number 5, AI, because we talked about ChatGPT and people consulting ChatGPT, and you can use whatever chatbot you want. I really don't care. But AI, as it is very flawed. There's limited training data available, and it takes masses, and I mean huge masses of training data for AI to learn things and to become better. It's really machine learning. It's not really learning as we understand it. It has bias towards certain cultural ways of thinking or cultural ways of doing things inherent within the chatbot system itself. It hallucinates, so it confidently states lies that aren't true, and it even has errors and a little bit of what we would call in the biz adversarial prompting. Like, being kind of an adverse element to the AI and continually questioning it and telling it's wrong and do better and all that kind of stuff tends to produce errors. And you got to refresh the browser to get that chatbot working again. It's flawed. It just is. It's getting better. Oh yeah, it's absolutely getting better. But at what speed and to what degree? And so like if you don't truly understand its limitations, you're not going to make the most of a tool like that. And that's true of every tool, isn't it? I don't care if it's Canva or Adobe Photoshop or Kickstarter or any tool that you can name. It could just be a hammer or a saw. You're not going to make the most of those tools unless you know how and you've practiced it and you've gained experience with it. Until then, you're not going to be great with those tools. I believe next one is number 7. I don't have these numbers actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This number one, that was last one was number 5. This is number 6. People don't respect what they don't pay for, the vast majority of the time, suggesting that, you know, if you get it for free, you pay it about as much attention as something that is free. If it's an article, you don't read the whole article, you skim it, or you paraphrase. You get AI to paraphrase it for you. Ridiculous, absolutely ludicrous. You're losing all the benefit of reading by doing that. You're losing all the benefit of personal discovery by doing that. Now, some articles are not deserving of being read. Some articles are not deserving of even being summarized because they're not good articles and they don't contain quality information. But even then, you're still losing out on all the benefit by relying on other technologies to do your work for you, right? And people, they could be given multi-million-dollar information, and I've seen it myself. I've given people incredible ideas, and I've coached people on them. And I've given people books, and I've given people access to different resources. And if it was given for free, it was treated with the same degree of respect that something free generally is, even if the resource wasn't gotten for free, even if that understanding or that concept was gotten through the School of Hard Knocks. If someone else received it for free, they treated it as something that was not valuable. So people don't respect what they don't pay for. If you don't pay for it, it doesn't matter that the information is out there, because if you didn't pay for it, you're not going to respect it. You're not going to get something from it. You're not going to have transformation. It's not going to have an impact on your life because you didn't pay for it. It could be the same information, and many times it's not. It could be the same information that's on blogs out there, but if you don't pay for it, you don't respect it, and you don't get anything out of it, or you don't get as much as you would get out of it if you paid for it. Number 7, again, could be controversial, but I believe it's true. I feel like I've confirmed it as true, but I'll call it a no about. Maybe it's not a no, but it's definitely a no about. Some information simply isn't available to the average person. That's the final point. And there's various secret societies out there. There are libraries that the average person would not have access to. Do you have access to Jeff Bezos' journal? I don't. So there's information out there. There's all kinds of stuff out there. Do you have access to all the government documents and government secrets and Area 51? I don't. And maybe you can find some leaked documents, but even then, could you say you have access to everything, that all the information is out there? I wouldn't. I'm not that arrogant. So there's information that's inconvenient to release. It might throw humanity into some kind of uproar because it would be difficult to accept, or it could be like blunt force trauma. It could be because the acceptance of that information would just prove difficult anyway. So people would just write it off as conspiracy, even though it could be true. Because, they'll go, oh, I heard that before. But yeah, it's a conspiracy theory. But those documents could contain some truth, actually. People just have written it off because they think they've heard it before. And that's not the way it works. And other information, there's people that would rather keep it secret than not. Like, would Jeff Bezos want to give out his journal? I don't think so. And I'm not just referring to that kind of content. I'm also referring to the kind of things that might help people be more successful in life and achieve everything they want in life. There could be I'm not saying there is, could be a vested interest in keeping that kind of information away from the average person. That's what I've discovered. So that's why the best information is not free and available everywhere. And even if it was, would you be willing to sift through tens of thousands of articles, thousands of books, thousands of podcast episodes, thousands of videos, attending hundreds of seminars and courses and events? Would you be willing to sift through all that and test it in your life and experiment with it and actually do something with it and measure the results with it? If not, then you can't say that the best information is free and available everywhere, because it categorically is not. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again tomorrow.